Hi everybody, how are you? My name is Dan Dulac. Welcome back to Extreme Virtual Connect 2021. I'm super excited to share with you just a few ideas and thoughts that's just kind of been running around in my head since we spoke last year at Virtual Connect. So without further ado, let's jump into finally a way that you can have cloud your way. Little tongue-in-cheek title to this slide, but let me jump right in. We have a bunch of new capabilities available today and that will be available next month and throughout the remainder of this calendar year that are really going to unlock the flexibility, the architectural flexibility on how you can leverage the best assets of cloud that you see fit in combination with on-premise technologies as well, and mix and match. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So first of all, as you've seen and hopefully seen, Nabil talk about, we're really talking about the infinite enterprise. And what does that mean? And what does that mean to you, to your business? I think we can all agree the pandemic has really changed how we think about how we use technology to not only keep our businesses afloat, but continue to offer competitive differentiation and better experience, better services for you and your customers. As Nabil talks about, there's three key tenets around this. This is really around mobility. And again, think of mobility not just about device mobility, user mobility. Think of this really about business mobility and how networks can themselves become mobile. And that's where we talk about the infinite distribution of networks, given that many of us have been working from home for the past year and the pressures and stresses that's put on data privacy, data security, data connectivity, and access to enterprise applications when all of your employees are working from home. That will continue to be the case. We're predicting as we go forward. There'll be some ebb and flow, but business and network mobility, in addition to user, device, and application mobility, is going to be paramount. Then we talk about cloud. Cloud really comes in when we talk about scalability. Infinitely scalable technologies as it relates to orchestration and management of said networks. We'll spend some time talking about it and some of the practical things we can think about on how this might fit into your next generation network architecture design. And the last is data. You heard me talk about last year, mastering the use of real-time data is absolutely a cornerstone for delivering on digital transformation, helping your business navigate digital transformation, mastering the use of real-time data. Data is the new currency. You take real-time data, you could figure out how to leverage and master real-time data to deliver a better experience, a more effortless experience for your customers. You're leading the pack as it relates to digital transformation. So data is paramount. So those are really kind of call it three pillars of the infinite enterprise, and we're going to explore these some more and really talk about some of the implications and what that might mean for you as you explore, call it your network operations in Nirvana. So what is, if you could define in your brain or in your mind, you could snap your fingers and create and roll out your network operations, how you manage, deploy, maintain, troubleshoot networks, what would some of those attributes be? And so I've got some of those listed here on the slide, again, in many conversations with many of you, just taking notes over the last 12 months and keeping a tally. And these are some of the highlights that have come directly from you. If you could define network operation Nirvana, what would it be? And so take a look at some of these things. First and foremost, security is top of mind for everybody, right? Data privacy, data security, data integrity. These are all top of mind. So we have to think about these things as Extreme thinks about these things as we help guide you towards this network operations Nirvana. Infinite scalability, right? We're going to spend some time about this, but we need to open our minds and not think about the scalability limitations of a management application or the size of a network or the type of a network, wired or wireless. We want to think in infinite scalability terms. Predictable costs. Everybody hates surprises in costs. Once we get into a project, we're midway through a project or to the tail end of a project, and more costs creep in. Hey, I thought this functionality was included with this license. It's not. You have to buy an additional license. Not that that's ever happened to you, but we know it does. It's happened. So cost predictability, again, in conversations with you, is a very key tenet on how we can achieve some of this network nirvana. Simple licensing. Licensing is far too complex when you start to mix hardware, software, SaaS solutions, cloud solutions, on-premise. We're going to talk about today, and I'll spend specifically some time talking about this one in particular, about how we have drastically changed and simplified our licensing structure to, again, prevent those hidden costs, or again, help you achieve the predictable cost structure so there are no surprises as you move a project forward. Of course, a big one, 100% uptime. And how nice would it be to go to bed at night knowing that your network will be up 100% of the time? Well, the only way you can really achieve that is through proactive management. Reactive management is not going to get you there. Proactive management. And again, we'll talk about where this has come into play. You may have heard a new capability coming, a new tier within CloudIQ called Copilot. That is our ticket for proactive management, identifying issues before a hard outage or failure occurs. This has been the promise of a long time. You've heard of ML and AI, all of these things. These are truly becoming reality this year, and we cannot wait to bring Copilot to market so you can see it for yourself. Zero application maintenance, that's a big one. I mentioned architectural flexibility in the previous slide, being able to, again, go with the ebb and flow of what the environment is forcing upon us, just like the pandemic we just went through. Something we didn't plan, we didn't expect, it happened, and we were forced to look at things differently, how we make networks mobile, how we leverage the cloud to make deployment, management, operation, troubleshooting easier for you, and then ultimately your customers, make that experience more effortless. So these are just some of the attributes that we're gonna drill in. I've got 2 or 3 of these I'm gonna just drill into specifically. I don't have time today to go through all of them. Happy to have a sidebar conversation if you would like to discuss any of these. And again, I'm sure you have ideas that didn't make this slide. But again, it's always fun to think about if you could snap your finger for your network operations team, your network infrastructure, and how it supports your business, what would it look like? What would Nirvana look like? So think about those things. Come to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas, because these are things we can help build into the product as we march toward that end, which is Nirvana, network operations Nirvana. So the first one I want to talk about is architectural flexibility. And this is much easier done on a whiteboard. We don't have a whiteboard here, so I maybe oversimplified the graphic here. But what you're looking at here first is that line kind of across the middle of the graphic here. Above the line are SaaS or cloud-based applications that sit out into the cloud. And then below the line is your traditional on-premise. These are both hardware and software that sit in brick or mortar locations, in your office locations, in your schools, in your government agencies, in your healthcare hospitals and environments, doctors' offices. You get the idea. Now, call it pre-pandemic, to really simplify this graphic, pre-pandemic, where everybody was going to work, everybody was going into main office locations. That would be the picture on the lower right, where that ratio comes into play. For example, maybe you had 1,000 users at one location, right? And in that one location, you had applications to deliver, you had many access points, switches delivering the network services, and the applications that are running over that network service. Then on the left, think of this as post-pandemic, or certain verticals obviously play with this kind of environment as well, where you don't have 1,000 users at one location, or rather, you have 1,000 locations with one user at each. Hugely distributed environment. And again, you may be accountable for delivering 100% uptime, consistent network services, data security, data privacy, application availability, mobility of devices, of users at the other end of that network. A lot of complexity here that, again, you are holding the candle to address. And then, of course, there's a mix, right? Many environments are mixed like this today. Some highly distributed, some locations, have high user density at very small number of locations, but a mix. The key here is we are designing technologies to address both of these, right? And think of this. This is where the infinite enterprise comes in. A worst case scenario, every single user is on their own network, at their own location, spread all over the world. That's a big problem to solve. And we are innovating in solving that exact problem. Now again, as traditional large site location enterprise would dictate, typically you have network management applications, orchestration tools, technologies that are on-premise because that's where all the devices are. Good news, that doesn't change. We're going to continue to evolve what we used to call Extreme Management Center, soon to be called Extreme CloudIQ Site Engine, is call it our next generation on-premise based management and orchestration technology that not only manages all of your Extreme infrastructure, but hopefully you know it manages an extensive amount of third-party devices. And this point will come in very important in a moment. With Extreme CloudIQ Site Engine, we are building in Cloud Connect, native Cloud Connect capability so that over time we can plug this directly into Extreme CloudIQ. Now, with Extreme CloudIQ, that was originally designed for that, call it hyper-distributed environment, where we have small amount of users spread across lots and lots of location. Obviously, this is where the power and simplicity of the scalability of cloud comes in. Leveraging cloud to, from a central location, cloud application, be able to manage, operate, and orchestrate regardless of location. Right? Very, very powerful. So now we're actually bringing these two things together. Extreme CloudIQ as a pure native cloud management orchestration application with all of you out there who have XMC, Extreme Management Center, with a simple upgrade. You will upgrade to Extreme IQ Site Engine. That will then give you the option to connect XIQ SE into XIQ. And you could think of that as almost a mother of managers. If you have any of you out there running multiple instances of XMC, think now you can manage all those instances through a single XIQ instance. All of that data. When I mentioned third-party support of XIQ SE, think about the connection of Cloud Now. If XIQ SE supports native third-party devices, Aruba, Cisco, HPE, Juniper, you name it, and I have a connector into the cloud, I could say I'm managing third-party devices via XIQ. Nobody in the industry is doing this. All right, again, it's this architectural flexibility that we're really looking to drive and offer you. Now we have an awesome brand new bit of technology where we're kind of taking a mix of our cloud architecture platform and XIQ and our on-premise type management philosophy that we've learned over the years with XMC and again soon to be XIQ Site Engine. And we're coming up with what we're calling Extreme Cloud Edge. But think of this as container as a service. You don't pay for hardware, you don't pay for software, you pay simply one subscription license, and that gives you access to deploying this container cluster on your site that we can then run Extreme CloudIQ as a service on-premise. It doesn't sit in the cloud, it sits on-premise, but it's managed with DevOps. So our DevOps team will continue to manage it just like we manage and maintain upgrades and all the capability that you know and love from CloudIQ in the cloud. We're doing that same thing, the exact same thing. The only difference is that sits within your brick and mortar data center or shop. And we continue to, again, remove the administrative burden by administering and maintaining that for you. Now, for some of you who continue to need air-gap networks, meaning air-gap management system where you can't connect to the cloud for various reasons, your business, your security, etc. We obviously offer Extreme CloudIQ Site Engine still, again, for those air-gap. But if you're afforded the ability to connect it to cloud, there is some amazing power, and that is the entry point to ML and AI and how we're going to leverage, again, the infinitely scalable cloud storage and compute that's at all of our disposal. Now, as I mentioned, that Extreme CloudIQ Edge is on-premise. It will be connected directly to the cloud, and we have ideas and plans of making Extreme CloudIQ Site Engine, again, formerly XMC, as a container application that you can run on the Edge platform. So you can run, wireless management, your typical CloudIQ application, or you could run Site Engine, NAC Engine, Analytics Engine, and ultimately we have plans of offering third-party support. So you can deploy any third-party application on this same Extreme Cloud Edge container as a service platform to, again, continue to offload the day-to-day grind and maintenance of applications. We could take all that on a simple, single, highly scalable, highly secure container-based approach that's leveraging Kubernetes and Docker containers as well. So pretty exciting stuff. All right, the second piece I wanted to talk about is license simplicity. And this is really important. You're going to hear terms like poolable, portable. You heard about this last year if you joined us for Virtual Connect 2020. The same goes here. The only difference this year, we've actually got proof points where we've delivered it. And we've been executing since the last conference on this exact thing. So let me break this down for you and hopefully make this crystal clear on what it is and what we mean by poolable and portable. There are two types of licenses. One is the hardware license, and you may have heard the term universal hardware. All of our new naming conventions, so the 5000 series, 5520, 5420 that we're releasing next month, 5320 comes later this year. All of our new access points, 500 series, 400 series, 300 series APs, those are all, think of those as Gen 3. Internally, we call it Gen 3. But out to the marketplace, that's our universal. We call it universal because it can adopt different network operating systems, different personalities, which is really special and unique. But nevertheless, the network operating systems have a bunch of features in it. And in licensed ways of old, we would license for small feature packs or bundles, and there could be lots of different add-on components. We've simplified that down from many to 2. And this is consistent across all of the hardware going forward, including our new 5520, 5420, 5320, and 5700 that's coming in next year. 2 licenses, MaxSec license and Premier license. The Premier license includes all that advanced functionality, MPLS, IP overlay fabrics, all kinds of different advanced functionality that you get with the Premier license. These licenses are poolable and portable. What does that mean? Whether it's a 5520, 5420, 5320, any 5000 series product we come to market, it's these same 2 licenses. You don't have to, the licenses aren't tied to a specific model number or SKU. They're poolable, portable. They can apply across your entire 5000 series switch line. Very cool. Now on the other half of this slide, we have our network management orchestration technology. And again, that's technology is typically licensed by feature, by capability, different, combinations of licenses, which can get pretty complex, pretty fast. We've significantly simplified our management orchestration licensing as well. Certainly we have CloudIQ, as we know. We have XMC, or soon to be XIQ Site Engine, as we know. I quickly introduced Extreme CloudIQ Edge. That is coming. Again, all different flavors and architectural flexibility of how we manage and orchestrate our networks. But we've simplified the licensing for this too. Poolable, portable. As we all know, Connect is the free license. Anybody can sign up today for CloudIQ Connect, 100% free, albeit it has limited functionality. Navigator license, just as a reminder, is for, call it our Gen 2. Some of the Wing, Identify, Gen 2 switching, Exos, 450G2s, 440s, etc., ERS, VSP. We use Navigator as a way to get Gen 2 kind of moved over to the cloud if that's an option for you. Pilot is the first official license where we're adding a ton of functionality and capability for not only the new universal products, but everything going ahead. That's really the sweet spot for the licensing tier, Pilot. And then of course we've got Copilot coming, and we're doing betas in June. It will be GA in the fall, but this is really where you're gonna start to see that false alarm free promise that we're really looking to drive as part of our North Star. Proactive management, false alarm free, identify issues before they come outages, and really leverage the ML engine that we're really driving to innovate for and with. So this is much simpler. Hopefully you can see much simpler. If any of you have experience with Extreme in years past, way, way simpler, and that these licenses are poolable and portable across not only management, but also features on the platforms themselves. All right, the last piece I want to talk about here briefly, and again, top of mind for everybody, is data security and privacy, especially when we're talking about cloud-based platforms and capability. That's the biggest question I often get is, Dan, your CloudIQ platform looks great and offers tons of flexibility as you aim towards the infinite enterprise, but what does that mean for security? How can I be comfortable and lower the risk from a data privacy, data security standpoint? And my answer to that is, I'm glad you asked, because there's really kind of 4 tenets, high-level tenets. There's many kind of sub-tenets underneath these, but I want to share with you the 4 big rocks, so to speak, that we really take seriously when it comes to data privacy and data security. The first one is penetration testing. Every year, we hire an outside company to come in and do a huge battery of penetration testing against CloudIQ and all of its, call it child applications. That'll be Site Engine that we've been talking about. That'll be the new XIQ Edge, the container as a service platform that we're talking. All of this applies. So in fact, we have these reports available. If you want to sign up with an NDA, many customers, partners out there, you might already have NDA in place. We'd be happy to share with you some of the results. Again, if you're a little bit worried or concerned about the security aspect of XIQ in the cloud. When we talk about data privacy, the key for data privacy is really in the ISO certifications. And I've got 3 of them listed here. When you think about the certification requirements, this is literally a cookbook of thou shalt do this, you store data this way, you encrypt it this way, this is where you need to encrypt, must encrypt data, this is where data encryption is optional, etc., etc. You get the idea, but it's a pretty strict cookbook at what cloud applications must do. And so by achieving these ISO certifications, we in fact adhere to those strict policies and guidelines on how data is stored at rest, but also data in motion as well. Cloud security assurance. This is a new platform that's out there in the industry. You hear this, you see this star level 1 certified. Secure, trust, assurance, risk. That's what STAR means. But effectively what this is again, somewhat of an audit of capabilities that is then made public on the CSA's website. So if you go out to Cloud Security Alliance, you'll find Extreme Networks and you'll see all the check marks, if you will, check boxes of how we adhere to kind of this industry agreed upon security assurance framework that CSA has put into place. So we've done a ton of rigor and we've achieved our star level 1 certification as well. The last thing on this is SOC 2. So specifically type 1 compliant. This really is a third-party vendor, SOC 2 consortium that is auditing all the pieces I've already talked about for that audit compliance standpoint. So that's very important. It's very difficult to get. It's very time consuming, but again, we invested in the time and energy to make sure we are SOC 2 compliant, and we're working towards our type 2 SOC 2 compliance as well. That's coming as yet another level of data privacy, data security, data integrity. So again, reduce the risk of you, or in your mind, of leveraging the extreme power of CloudIQ. Okay, so those are the quick bullets I wanted to talk about. Not a ton of time today, but just wanted to give you some highlights again to really kind of pick your brain on, again, if you could define what is network operations Nirvana for you, what would it look like? And hopefully our description, talking to Nabil and listening to Nabil about infinite enterprise and thinking about indefinitely distributed connectivity, users, devices, applications, and networks anywhere, anytime to support the needs of your business. Leveraging the cloud for that scalability, simplicity, data storage, ML, AI, all the things we can do that are afforded by huge compute, huge storage, literally unlimited scalability with our cloud native applications. all to drive a more effortless experience, not only for you, our network operators, our managers, our business leaders, IT leaders, not only for you, but your customers. Deliver that more effortless experience to help you increase your top line, reduce your bottom line, and exceed and excel in this new normal we find all of ourselves in. So with that, I'm going to close this out. I want to thank you all very much for your time. I look forward to connecting you face to face in the very near future. We'll see you all then.